everyone, it's Stephanie and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another installment in my Dickens project, and oh my gosh, I have like 3 books to catch up on. It's so bad. But today we're talking about Barnaby Rudge. Barnaby Rudge is a trudge. So this is his 5th published novel. So the one I read before this was The Old Curiosity Shop, and I enjoyed that one. And I have loved every other Dickens that I have read. And I even skipped Barnaby Rudge and Martin Chuzzlewit to read Dombey and Son with friends. Loved Dombey and Son, spoiler alert. And came back to Barnaby Rudge and Martin Chuzzlewit because I wasn't sure if I would like them. And I was not wrong about this book. So, what is this book about? So, we follow a half-wit Barnaby Rudge, and he is tricked into being a part of the Gordon riots in London. And his mother has a terrible secret, and we also have a lot of characters and side plots, including the delicate Miss Hardale, who is in a secret courtship with the son of her uncle's enemy, and they use Barnaby as a go-between to pass messages between each other. And in the usual Dickens fashion, all of these plots do come together at some point, and it is very layered and there is a lot going on. I was really excited at first about this book because of the Gordon riots. I was like, this is going to be really interesting because I don't know that much about them. And it starts off with a murder. Like, this is not a spoiler. It happens in like chapter 1, and then on the back of the book it says an unsolved double murder, and it sounded like it might be good. Like, goes on to involve conspiracy, blackmail, abduction, and retribution. However, I don't know. The villains in this book are not good villains. Like, they're instrumental in inciting the riots. But when I think of Dickens, I think of really good character development and really fleshed out and memorable characters. And I read this book, I think it was late 2024. I barely remember anything about this book except how angry I got at the book as I was reading it. And if you were around when I was reading it and got to hear my unfiltered thoughts, I am so sorry. But there's just, I feel like in other Dickens novels, there's a really good balance between the heroes and the villains. And yes, he does caricature characters, and some people find it to be too much in some of his novels, which totally fair, I get it. But I feel like there's still a good balance of page time between villains and heroes. And in this book, I feel like 90% of the page time was the villains. The riots were really boring, and then they got really disturbing, and then really boring again. And there was just a lot of the villains scheming and plotting, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and oh, we should do this, and we should do that. And it got to the point where you're just yelling at the book, like, just do it already. Like, commit the crime so we can move along with the story. And there was just no balance. And it just, I think that applies to everything in this book. There really wasn't balance. Like, the riots, I feel like this book had a strong start. It did have a gripping intro, and then it just took a nosedive, and like Thelma and Louised it off a cliff, and that's all she wrote. And I feel like the villains, while they are more fleshed out, they're not fully fleshed out dynamic characters, and the heroes They're very, very flat. And so I didn't really like a single character in this book, and they treated Barnaby horribly, which I knew they would, because that is definitely a product of the time. But I feel like we didn't get that much page time with the people who loved him and were treating him well, and it was just really depressing. And the characters, good or bad, they didn't grow or change at all. And it was, the villains were almost to the extreme end of caricature, whereas I feel like in some of his other novels, like Dombey and Son and Nicholas Nickleby, Our Mutual Friend, there's much more of a balance and a nuance to people. This one just felt like a debut novel and not the level of writing that I expect when I hear Dickens. And when I think Dickens, like I said, I think of great character work. And I think that's what most people associate him with. And it was not it. There wasn't anybody to cheer for in this book. And this book is over 700 pages. 700 pages I had to trudge through. And it was crap. I did not like it. I'm sorry if you like this. I'm happy for you if you do. Did I hate it as much as Jude? No. However, don't care. I don't like it. Oh my gosh. I just get angry thinking about it. It was such a waste of time. It was just so bad. I think the only upside is the audiobook narration was good. I listened to the Audible Dickens collection. I don't even remember who the narrator is. I'm so sorry. I should have looked that up. But they did a good job narrating, and that's really my only plus. And I actually started annotating this book when I first started reading it, because I was like, I really want to take my time and like savor this. And then I think 50 pages in, I was like, okay, I'm bored now. And then the more I read, the more angry I got. And it's like, I'm not even annotating this. I'm just going to rage read it until the end, just so I can finish it, check that box off, and move on to the next one. Do not recommend. And my my review on Goodreads, so I did say it was a Marmite book, which I do still stand by. I feel like people either really love it or they really hate it. And I fall into the really hate it camp, obviously. It took me 4 tries to get into this book. And then I finally just like made myself read it. It was just really sad. And so at the very end of my review, I said after 700 pages, I was so glad to see the back of its book. And the too long didn't read version is, who cares? I want these hours of my life back. So I still want those hours of my life back. So yeah, definitely a miss. Fortunately, I don't know if I'll ever reread this. I might, maybe 10 years down the road, if one of my really good bookish besties asks me to read it with them, with the understanding that I will be venting if I hate it just as much the second time. But I have no immediate plans. Whereas other books of his, like Nicholas Nickleby or Dombey and Son, or even The Christmas Carol, I read that one every year without fail. There are some that I'm like, if somebody asked me to reread it with them, I would immediately be like, yes, I'm in. And this one, I would just like to run it over with my car. There's that. So anyway, I'm sorry if you love this book. It was not for me. However, if you did love this book, I would love to hear what you liked about it and what worked for you. And I do think it is interesting to talk to people who have a different opinion than you about this book. Because I was talking to, I think it was Elizabeth and Daryl, and they both enjoyed it. And it was interesting to hear what they liked and what worked for them and what didn't work for me, because I feel like most of the time we have pretty similar tastes, but on this one we very much differed. So anyway, have you read this book? If so, let me know. If you'd like to leave an emoji, leave an axe emoji down below. We'll just go with that. As always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe if you want to. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.